So, Joel, now to you. I'm curious what you make of the turn in Trump and Putin's relationship. Also, what took the president so long to figure out that which so many other people have figured out in terms of Putin's intent and the way he behaves. But there is a growing frustration now from the president. Could it have an impact on Russia backing off on Ukraine?
Yeah, Alex, my first thought is welcome to reality, Donald Trump. It's nice that you've finally joined us in the assessment that Vladimir Putin is not a friend of the United States. And so will this have an impact or not? I don't know. Quite frankly, I think actions speak louder than words. And, you know, President Trump, he likes to talk a good game about peace through strength. But this Russia policy that he's been enacting is nothing but weak. He needs to turn. He needs to support the sanctions that 85 senators now co-sponsored. That is a package that will reassert American pressure on Russia. He hasn't done that yet. He hasn't called for it. He needs to get control of his Pentagon, who apparently, unwitting to him, withheld weapons. And he was embarrassed in public when he was asked about it, sitting right next to the Secretary of Defense, who had signed off on withholding those weapons. But he needs to get back into reality full, as opposed to a couple of words here or there, and really understand that Vladimir Putin has been playing him like a fiddle.
In fact, to your point, this morning, Secretary Rubio spoke about the possibility of putting sanctions on Russia. Let's listen to what he said.
The leaders of both chambers have said that they're prepared to begin to move forward on that. We've expressed this to the Russians weeks ago. We told them that the moment would come where something like this could happen, and we'll continue to express it because that's the reality.
So, look, you mentioned 85 senators being on board with the prospect of this, but would sanctions ultimately make any difference in Russia, considering all the sanctions they have been shouldering for years now?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And on a technical level, the reality is that because we have not executed new sanctions this whole calendar year, the existing sanctions on Russia have weakened. And now Russia is today in a better financial position than they were when Donald Trump came into office on January 20th. And you combine that with the weak support for military aid to Ukraine that we've seen over the last half year. And Russia is in a stronger position today than when Trump came in. And that's very important. So the sanctions package would, of course, reassert some pressure on Russia, but it would not answer the call. But it would certainly send a signal to our NATO allies and the Ukrainians and the Russians that this president is finally catching up to where the whole national security community is, quite frankly, and where our allies are, which is that Putin is not going to stop his war unless the United States puts pressure on him.
You know, Jill, you heard us play that really extraordinary audio of Trump claiming that he warned Russia and China he would bomb the bleep out of Moscow and Beijing if they attacked either Ukraine or Taiwan. If President Trump was still in office, that was the point. But during the start of the Ukraine war, would that have had any impact on preventing Putin's attack?
Well, first of all, let's remember what he was saying at the start of that war, which is that he basically called Vladimir Putin a genius for invading Ukraine. He was nowhere near what he claims he said in that fundraiser. I don't really know if that's even true. And so, you know, Donald Trump has had a consistent bending the knee to Vladimir Putin for years when it comes to policy. And so the idea that we would bomb willy-nilly, I mean, that's a ridiculous policy. There needs to be a strategy behind it. Joe Biden had a strong policy. Donald Trump opposed that policy. And I think that we don't really know what the policy is right now. It's all over the place. And if you're the Ukrainians, you have to be scared because you don't know if you're going to wake up one day and either be Donald Trump's best friend or his adversary. And they need more certainty than what they're getting from this White House.
Or if they're going to get the kind of supplies they've come to rely on from this White House. You know, one day makes a difference. All right, Joel Rubin, good to see you. Thank you so much.